Hi, Dr. Milky back with, I believe, my fourth video in the series I'm doing, starting from the toes, and that's the toenails, working back towards the ankles. Certainly, I'm going to throw in other videos in between as I have. I'm going to lose count here eventually because it's easy to count in January. But nonetheless, we're still talking about the toes, and this time I'm going to talk about toes that curl. You know, we use a term hammer toe. That's one of the medical terms that we use. And I'm going to use my trusty foot model again here. So, I mean, this is perfect. These toes are all perfectly straight. They're all lined up. You know, they're not crossing over each other, and they're not bent like this, like some toes will actually bend. That's called a hammer toe. If a toe's like this, it's a normal toe. If it's like this, we call it a hammer toe. So, you know, what causes that? And, you know, there's what we don't see is, you know, there's tendons. There's a tendon on the top of the foot that runs into the toe, all the way from the leg, all the way down into each toe on top. And then there's a tendon on the bottom of the foot that comes from the back of the leg and down around the ankle and through the bottom of the foot into each one of the toes. So those toes have to work in unison. So if one tendon is weak, if one tendon is too strong, then the toe is going to do something. It's going to go from being straight to eventually doing this. And there's different reasons why that can happen. Why can one tendon get weak? Why can one tendon be a lot stronger? A lot of it comes from the position of the foot, the muscle strength in the legs. I mean, there's just a lot of scenarios. Nerves from the back that can cause toes to eventually go from being straight to curling. And then, you know, there's also the crossing over of toes, which is a whole nother scenario where, you know, there's going to be some weakness somewhere, some strength somewhere that eventually leads to that. Ultimately, genetics are such a huge factor, is a huge factor when it comes to toes that, you know, go from, you know, birth being perfectly straight and, you know, those cute little toes that kids have. And then ultimately as adults, you know, things start to change. And unfortunately, genetics are a big factor. Shoes maybe a little bit, activities maybe a little bit. Certainly injuries can be a factor, but genetics are a huge factor there. And, you know, there's always a somewhat of a solution, you know, hopefully not surgery. Sometimes that's the case, but the bottom line is that toes can curl, toes can cross over each other, and sometimes we have very little control of that. But when we do have control, we want to do something to keep them as straight as possible so that you don't have pain. We'll see you next time.